Welcome back to my channel.
Welcome back to my channel. Subscribe while you're here.
Now, I've been silent for a very long time. I know that's very rare for me.
I've watched this apology a couple of times. I'm not that interested in the makeup industry, as you can probably tell. But I think the best person to get a take on this from is a fat guy who doesn't shave, if he can possibly avoid it, who has never put eyeshadow on, even in a moment of youthful experimentation. Maybe I should put makeup on.
I've taken a lot of time to do a lot of self-reflection. Now, in the past, I've been very guilty of speaking out of anger, out of frustration, out of my emotions.
And my take on this apology is going to be possibly a little bit controversial. So, what I'd be interested to see, if you do watch this, is to leave a comment and see if you kind of agree with what I'm going to say, or if you think I'm an absolute moron. Let me know, because it's an interesting discussion for me. Anyway.
I'm so quick to grab my phone and just say whatever is on my mind in that moment without ever really thinking the ramifications of my words, my actions, and for the first time in a very long time, I'm really reflecting on my behavior and mine alone.
Now, I don't believe for a second that he doesn't think about the ramifications of his actions when he tweets or Snapchats or does anything. I don't think he has not thought about the ramifications of what he does online and how he presents himself for at least 5 years. I think he has created a brand, and he has been sticking very much to that brand. It's only in the past. Well, it's not even in the past, is it? Because it was in May this year, apparently, that he was still saying that James Charles was a sexual predator. So, really, this is the first time he's gone outside that brand in any big way. But, let's carry on.
And I've come to a lot of realizations, and it's been really important to actually understand everything that I was a part of, that I did wrong, and really start a new chapter.
Here is my take on this apology. And I know that everyone has watched this apology already, so watching it again with me is going to be a waste of time for everyone involved. My opinion on this so-called apology is that it's obviously not an apology anyway, but also it was unnecessary, because I don't think he's behaved in any way that is I don't think he's behaved in any way that is out of the expectation of behaviour for Jeffree Star. And the reason I don't think it's outside the expectation of behaviour for Jeffree Star is because of you. Because since he started his makeup brand, and even before then, he has been consistently rewarded for bad behaviour. So how would you expect him to behave? Getting involved in drama is what he's been rewarded for doing. Underhand business practices, at least the way he shows them, is what he's been rewarded for doing. The materialistic aspect of his life, where he's showing off expensive cars and his gold flake settee in the front lobby of his house that very well could be transported straight to Trump Tower. I mean, if that's what people think luxury looks like, I'm a bit confused. It's just fake opulence. As we know, luxury is a chair that has moulded itself perfectly to your buttocks. That's true luxury. Luxury is 6-ply toilet paper. Luxury is just not big gold things in a big gold room. The behaviour that he exhibits online and the way he seems to run his life, at least publicly, is exactly what he has been expected and encouraged to do for the past decade. Same when he was in the music industry, same as it is now. So, really, what's he actually apologising for, other than carrying on the behaviour that has been expected of him? And the answer to that is nothing. And his behaviour shouldn't be unexpected. I mean, bear in mind, on YouTube and other social media platforms, there is a whole economy of channels that exist just to report on the drama that Jeffree Star has been causing over the last decade, and making as much money off it as possible. And he knows that, and he knows you can get publicity by doing outrageous things. And he has been supported in doing those outrageous things for the past decade or more. So, what's he actually apologising for, other than doing what he normally has been doing and being rewarded for? Nothing. There's a bit in here where he apologises personally to James Charles, but he does it personally in a video on YouTube, just long enough for as many ads as possible. He then goes on to say essentially that what's going on is petty nonsense compared to what's happening in the rest of the world, talking about Black Lives Matter, for example. One of the criticisms he's had is that he hasn't put any links or anything to donations in the description, which I can understand that being a criticism, but at the same time, everyone knows these days where you can donate to, and if you link us somewhere that you can donate to, half the people that see it will say, no, that's the wrong thing to donate to, you should donate to this one instead, you're supporting a terrible organisation, how dare you. I'm not even going to play the rest of this video because, like I say, everyone's seen it and you can go anywhere and see everyone's opinions on it and what they think it means. Half the people saying that, oh, he's a monster and he's making it up. You'll have half the people saying, oh, don't pick on Jeffree, poor Jeffree, he's had such a terrible time and he's a really nice person and he's changed. But actually, he's just been doing exactly what he's been expected to do for the last 10 years, and at some point in January, people turned around and said, well, no, that's disgusting, you shouldn't be doing it and we need to punish you for behaving exactly the way we've wanted you to behave. If he'd been behaving in a way that was totally out of the ordinary, sure, apologise. But for doing exactly what you've been doing for the last 10 years in order to be handsomely rewarded, why would you suddenly have to apologise for doing the same thing over and over and over again? It's the same situation with Shane Dawson. He was rewarded for a kind of behaviour. He carried on that kind of behaviour. At some point he stopped that sort of behaviour, mostly. Moved on to do more mature things. And suddenly people are pulling out every clip of every bit of, disgusting humour that he's ever come out with, putting them all together, and then there you have it. A perfect representation of a terrible human being. But it's a terrible human being because, is he a terrible human being because he was doing exactly what was expected of him at the time and what he was rewarded for, and just reinforcing that sort of behaviour? Don't know. You tell me. I mean, if you're trying to get a child to behave themselves, you don't reward bad behaviour. You reward good behaviour. Same with the dog. And it's the same. And apparently it's the same with people on social media. If you want them to behave a particular way, you have to reward a particular kind of behaviour. You can't sit back and be entertained by every bad thing they do and then suddenly say it's not funny and demand that they apologise. You encourage them to do it in the first place. I'm not saying that removes blame from Jeffree for behaving in this way, but if that's how you make your money, that's how you're going to behave. If you get away with it and you're encouraged to keep doing it, then you're going to keep doing it. So yeah, I would encourage a good many people to turn that critical eye on themselves and ask why they were supporting that behaviour in the first place, and why you're suddenly so morally superior that you can drop support for that person. Not because they did something outrageous that they've never done before, but because they just kept behaving in the way that you approved of in the beginning. If you've never liked him, and you always thought he was a cock, you're in the same boat as me. I'm curious as to what would have happened if 7 years ago he decided to stop a particular kind of behaviour and become a good guy. Would his support have dropped? Would his income have dropped? Would his businesses have been as successful? Probably not. Do I think that the Teddy Westbrook, James Charles, Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star drama as a whole was made up and manipulated by a couple of players, mostly him? Yeah. But that shouldn't surprise anyone, because that's what he's been doing his whole career. Anyway, so in closing, for this poorly organised, unscripted video, I don't think he needed to apologise. I think people are demanding an apology unnecessarily. And I think the people who are demanding the apology need to look at why they're demanding an apology and what's changed about them that this behaviour is now unacceptable when before it was just entertaining. Let me know what you think though, because my opinion on it I think is probably sitting outside the mainstream. Maybe I just don't know enough, or maybe I know too much. But there's a bigger picture that we've all been looking at, thinking it's good and fun, and we've suddenly decided it's terrible. And I'm intrigued to know why we've suddenly decided it's terrible. I think it might just be because James Charles has got a sweet face and we felt bad. If you found my thoughts on it interesting, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments, because I find it interesting that we want people to behave a certain way, but then we change how we want them to behave, and they don't change how they behave, and suddenly we turn on them. That's an interesting concept to me, and I'd be intrigued to know your thoughts on that. Thank you for watching if you got this far, and if you found it interesting, subscribe. Every so often I might do something else interesting, but I probably won't. But subscribe anyway. Next time.